Get ready to drop the puck, take a free throw, and step up to the plate. It's time for the Metro East Sports Podcast on lineupmedia.fm.
From the Lineup Media Studios, welcome to the Metro East Sports Podcast, season number 2, show number 46, recorded Monday, December 6, 2021. Thanks, as always, to partners Cassens, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, Callaway Home Loans, Keller Williams Marquee, Jeb and Ginger Blassingame, Integrity Spine and Joint Center, Front Office Fiduciary Network, and Oak Brook Golf Club. We're talking all things sports in the Metro East. I'm Dave Leip. Big show tonight. Nothing but MESPY winners. Guest number 3, Chris Eddy, O'Fallon Township Girls Golf 2A MESPY winners, team of the year. Guest number 2, Angie Crawford, 3A Volleyball Team of the Year. Did you play them? Did you play Waterloo?
Nope, we didn't.
And guest number 1 in the studio, just talking to me, Heather Ohlau, 4A Volleyball Team of the Year coach, and her star player of the year for 4A, Gabby Saye. But before I get to these supermodels over here, by far the 2 tallest women I've had together on the show. Now, Amanda Kemagis is taller. Belleville East basketball coach. She's even taller than you, Gabby. We'll get to that in a second, though. 3 things you can do to help. Number 1, subscribe to this podcast. It is free. Number 2, follow us in all of our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and, of course, YouTube. And number 3, if you have a story idea, email me, please, at mespdave@gmail.com. And don't forget to nominate your favorite team for Integrity Spine and Joint Center Team of the Month. Could be a park and rec team, could be a middle school team, a high school team, you name it. Belleville East Girls Tennis was the Team of the Month for October. Mascoutah Football was the Team of the Month for November. To nominate a Team of the Month, send your suggestions to me at mespdave@gmail.com, and please put Team of the Month in the subject line. Okay, ladies, ready to talk volleyball?
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Tigers.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Coach Ohlau, you're back here for the second time.
Yes, I am.
So how many trips is this for the Ohlau family to the Metro East Sports Podcast?
I believe the 3rd total. I've been lucky enough to be here twice. Craig only once.
I think, yeah. I feel like Craig's been here twice.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he came here once and then he came back again to talk about his book. But, man, he's a character.
Yeah, a little bit.
He makes me laugh. But congrats on a great season, Coach.
Thank you.
And a big part of that was the gal to your right. Welcome to the show, Gabby Saye.
Thank you.
Are you the last Saye girl? You're the 3rd?
Yes, I'm the youngest.
Okay. So was it just a given that you were going to be a volleyball star at EHS and follow in the footsteps of your sisters?
I mean, yeah, that was definitely the goal. I definitely was wanting to follow in their footsteps.
How tall are you?
I'm like 6'2",
Like 6'2"?
roughly.
You're 6'2". And what position do you play on the team?
I'm a right side hitter.
And you crush it. I've
Yeah.
seen you. I watched your highlight reel a little bit ago. Can you hit it? Can you hit with both hands?
No, I'm just left-handed.
Just lefty.
Yeah.
All right. How about most girls? Do all girls hit with just one hand or the other, Coach?
Usually, I think if you find somebody that has power with both, that's a rare occurrence.
Okay, well, let's talk about your incredible season. 4th place at state, regional championship, sectional championship, super sectional championship, and a trip to the state tournament. How many times this year did you pinch yourself?
Pretty often, especially during that last week of postseason where we traveled and competed in both the sectional semifinal, sectional championship, and then the super sectional.
Was your team playing its best at the end, or were you guys consistently awesome all season long?
I feel that we were consistent throughout the season. I think coming down that postseason, we cleaned up some things that hindered us a little bit during the regular season. But, yeah, we were playing some pretty good volleyball throughout, but stepped up in that postseason run.
Gabby, let's talk to you for a second. How much fun did you have this year?
Tons of fun. And the fact that we got to go as long as we possibly could, it was just tons of fun to be able to experience that and go all the way.
What was it like playing at state?
Very exciting. I've never felt that before. I mean, I play club, so I've been in front of big crowds, but nothing like that. So it was super cool to be kind of like the center of attention for a full match or two and just really have everyone watching and playing for such a big prize.
And you guys competed well in both games. You lost both games, but you lost both games 2-1. It wasn't like you went up there and you got blown out or you were in over your heads. I thought that you showed that you could compete with anybody there and anybody in the state. Great team, a lot of senior leadership. Talk about those seniors on this team.
Another large class. We had 9 seniors, and something that we stressed throughout the season was all about being a good teammate. And I think this group of seniors showed that in and out. They were some of the most unselfish players. It was, I think, reported by Matt Camp that we had a team that had 6 players with over 100 kills, which hasn't happened since before 2000. So just having that group just be as unselfish and just support each other. If one player was not doing well in a game, the other ones rallied around and picked up their gameplay and just kept trying to find a way to help each other and work together. I mean, this group was just a great group of leaders and teammates.
That makes it easier for you as a coach, doesn't it?
Just a little bit. It's more on them. They knew what needed to be done, and it was up to them to do it, and they held each other accountable to go out there and perform and do their job.
I saw you play during a tournament at our place at EHS. I watched the whole game. It was a lot of fun. I stood with board president John McDowell, and I watched your games against Mother McCauley. I watched and listened to the husband and wife duo of Kevin and Julie Mattarelli on her Facebook Live page. I thought that was pretty cool, actually. I was glad that I was able to see it. You know, those were exciting games. I thought you guys played well. But you had an incredibly talented group of girls, but you've got some good, talented girls coming back.
Yeah, we have some underclassmen that are going to be returning to us that had some experience this year and a little bit last year. So while it is, I think, a little bit of a rebuilding year, hopefully the foundation that this group of seniors set this year just will keep building with the future.
Gabby, are you going to play next year? Have you decided?
Yeah, I plan on playing. I'm not committed yet, though.
Okay. What are you going to miss about playing at Edwardsville High School next year?
Just like the family type environment. I think we all got along very well on and off the court, and you know, there's a great coaching staff, so that as well, and it was just a great environment to be a part of.
And this was your second year as head coach, am I right? Or is this your third year?
No, this is my second.
Second year, okay. Was it different for you this year?
A little bit, just because last year it was just like a little taste. We were displaced. We didn't get to play in the fall. We didn't get to have like a really full season. It was about a month long. So it really didn't feel like being a head coach during that season, just because it was, you blinked and it was over. We had 8 matches last year. So this year I think was more of it. It was a longer season. I mean, a full season. We traveled. We were able to see kind of a lot of different opponents as opposed to just our conference. So even though last year was my first year, it really felt like this was my first season as a head coach.
And you won the conference. That was a big deal for you first. I think that's the first thing you try to do before you get to the postseason. You try to be the best around.
Oh, absolutely. You always want to be the best in the region. And then I think being able to take down some of the more powerful programs in our conference, O'Fallon twice, Belleville West, Belleville East, Collinsville. I think some of those larger schools in our conference were the first goal.
Did playing in the Southwestern Conference prepare you for a postseason, or was it your tournaments that prepared you the most for the postseason? What was the competition you played during the season that best prepared you for competing with McCauley?
I think the tournaments that we pick up in our home tournament, we have some solid players, and I believe that there were several that competed in their state tournament, whether it was in Missouri or in Illinois. Then we travel up to Effingham, where we see Northern Powerhouse in Plainfield North. We see Herman, Missouri. We beat Herman, Missouri, and they actually won their division in the Missouri State Tournament.
The Winemakers?
Mm-hmm. I believe they won either 2A or 3A in the Missouri State. And then we travel up to Chicago twice, which on back-to-back weekends is pretty tough. But up there, we're able to see more of those 4A and Bennett Academy in Hinsdale Central and South, all the normal schools. And then we also were able to play this year in one of those tournaments, Nazareth, who ended up winning the 3A state title. So I think those kind of helped us a little bit better because it's competition that we don't see. It's where you just got to go out and play. You just got to go out and compete because we don't usually have as much video or experience with those teams. So being able to travel and see a variety, and I also think traveling up to Chicago helped us prepare for that super sectional where we had to travel up to DeKalb on a Friday and compete in that last match before making it to a state title.
Same question for both of you. What was the number one strength of this team? What did you guys do best?
I say working as a team because we had everything. We have great players all around. We have great DSs, amazing setters, strong hitters, and blockers. But I think it all came down to putting it together. And I think as the season went by, we got even better with that as working as a team. And so as long as we put all of our power and our strength and skills together, I think that's what made us the strongest team.
All right, Coach, you tell them.
I agree with that, and I think this team knew how to prepare. Before some of those bigger matches, especially in postseason, we had to play O'Fallon on a Monday. And I think, honestly, that was one of the toughest matches we had to play because it was on home court. We knew the what it meant to get past them, so I think emotions were high. And then you had to practice on a Tuesday to play for a Wednesday and then practice on a Thursday to play for a Friday. So taking each step as its own, I think that's what really led this team to where they were in our postseason. We talked about there were 7 matches to get to that state title, and they took each one as its own step. There was no looking past one match. We prepared each match, and that's what these girls did. They were focused in every match.
The girl to your right, Gabby Saye, is an all-state volleyball player and one of the area's best volleyball players, but she is the MESPY winner for 4A Volleyball Player of the Year. Describe what it's like to coach her.
Gabby's fun to coach. I know that she's one that will put a ball away in a big situation, and that's what led us. I think her teammates relied on that a lot. But the nice thing that I think Gabby did this year was mix it up. She just didn't always crush the ball. She was able to tip it. She was able to roll it. It took a little bit to get there. But she was the type of player that was a little bit more dynamic, that it wasn't just the one note over and over and over again. And she was one that I know that the team looked to, that in a tight situation, who are we going to set? If Gabby was in the game, it was most of the time going to Gabby. And I think that just shows the trust that her teammates had in her and what we were able to do.
Sounds like she improved during the season.
Well, one would hope that you never stop improving.
You've coached players that stopped improving. We all have.
Yes. And so, that's what you hope, though, as an athlete,
of course,
as a player, as a coach, you just hope that you never stop learning. And so, she didn't this year. She just kept improving, and it just showed throughout the entire season.
Good for you, Gabby.
Thank you.
Talk about Coach. What's it like to play for Coach Ohlau? Let's embarrass her for a second. Now, you're done with your career, so you can say whatever you want because she can't make you run. She can't bench you. Nothing.
Right.
What do you describe her?
No, but honestly, she's one of the greatest coaches I've ever had. She's honest, so she's not going to lie to you and tell you, you're doing good if you're not. She'll tell you what you're doing wrong. She's really good with that. In a game, if you need help, she'll tell you what to fix, especially when it came to my blocking this year. She'll tell me exactly what I'm doing wrong so I could fix it or at least try to. She's just, all around, practice games, but she's also a great person to talk to off the court. So if you're not playing volleyball, you can still go and talk to her. So she's just very helpful all around.
Let's get technical. What was she doing wrong with her blocks? You gotta get your hands up there.
Well, she's, as you can tell, she's a big player. There's a big presence there, but it wasn't always pressing over onto the other side, stopping it before it came over the net. I think the matches where we were very successful, our blocking was on point. Where we struggled a little bit more was whenever our blocking wasn't always on point. But that there's always stuff to fix.
My personal take on volleyball, it's really emerging on the collegiate level and as a spectator sport. Mm-hmm. I think it's fun. I think it's fun to watch. And I think it's very emotional. Very emotional. I think when you have 6 girls on the court together, it's more emotional outwardly than singles. That's what I coach in tennis. Mm-hmm. Singles is emotional, but you keep more composure. In doubles, you have to be more outwardly emotional, I feel like. Has there ever been, are there any good volleyball teams where everybody's just chill and reserved? I feel like everybody celebrates like they win the Super Bowl after every single point.
I think you kind of need that emotion just because volleyball is all about momentum and energy swings. And if you just play kind of flat and calm, there's never any of that, to me, competitiveness or the outright, I just want to go after it. And so I always call volleyball the ultimate team sport because one person can't do it all. You can't touch the ball 3 times in a row. You've got to rely on the other ones. And so when your teammate makes that big play, it's that energy that you feed off of that just kind of keeps building that momentum and knocking the other team back a little bit.
I agree 100%. Totally. I knew that you were going to say that. Totally. And I think it's interesting how many sports say this is the ultimate team sport. Football thinks it's the ultimate team sport. There are other sports where they think this is the ultimate team sport. Soccer thinks it's the ultimate team sport. But I do think volleyball is a tremendous team sport, and I think it is incredibly emotional. But I think it's this also. I think it's easy for everybody to be hype when Gabby crushes a ball. I think who are the players who can keep their emotions when the other team makes a good play or when you don't make a good play? I think that's when you have to have emotional maturity. Mm-hmm. Agreed? Mm-hmm. So how do you coach that? How do you coach players to respond to negativity? Do you coach players? What do you tell them?
Essentially, in volleyball, you're going to have those big plays. Other teams are going to have those big plays, but it's all about how you respond to it. And just know that we're just as good as anybody else. And one play doesn't define the entire match. It's the combination of plays and how you respond and what your teammates do. And if a teammate is starting to respond negatively, how are you going to pick them up? I think that was a big thing that this group of seniors fueled coming down this postseason. What motivates each person on the court and what can their teammates do to, one, get them out of that funk if they are in a funk, or if they do something well, what fuels them? And I think that's the conversation that you need to have because it doesn't rely on one player. One player doesn't make the team, but one player can impact a team based on their role. And so just focusing on that and having that conversation.
Okay, so what are you going to tell this team next year? First time you meet as a team next year and the girls get together and you've selected your team, post tryouts, you got your girls, you're going to say, okay, blank.
Oh, well, that's a long way off. But I think one of the things is that, yes, last year was very successful and we can learn from it, but this is a whole new team. This new team is going to write the history of this team. You only get one chance to be this past year, the 2021 Edwardsville Tigers. What legacy are you going to leave? Next year, they're going to be the 2022 Tigers. It's a completely different team. No year do you get the exact same team 2 years in a row. So each team is different, and that's I would not compare next year's team to this year's because it's a different group of girls, but they're in charge of what they're going to do. And I think just stressing that you have the chance to do what you want to do. What is that?
All right, last question for both of you. What do you think you're going to remember about this year? 15 years down the road, 20 years down the road, 30 years, what moments right now, when I say what moments do you remember, what do you see?
Mine is definitely the Huntley game, so our super sectional game to go to state. It was definitely that game. Our blocking was amazing that game. The energy in the gym and the momentum that we had on our side of the court, it was just a great feeling. And I think I'll always remember that last point that Emma got a block, and it was just such an amazing feeling to just get to celebrate the fact that we are the second team to go to state.
Coach?
I don't know if there's just one thing, just because this group of girls, especially this group of seniors, is just a little bit more special to me. Gabby could probably say I couldn't even talk about them at the banquet without getting emotional, because this group of girls, whenever I decided not to coach, and I don't want to make this about me, but whenever I decided to take some time off to be a mom, this group of seniors was the first group that I came back to in middle school. They were 7th graders. I know a lot of them had played club, but that was their first year where they were playing middle school. So I was able to experience coaching some, playing against some. But then whenever I decided to come back to the high school again after taking some time off, they were the first group of freshmen. So I've been with them for about the last 6 years. And so just seeing that growth, I think, and seeing what dedication and high expectations of what players can do can impact a program. So like I said, I don't think it's just one thing. Just seeing this group of girls and just wishing that others can learn from what they were able to do.
Do you think they're going to be able to leave that legacy? That's the hope, right?
I think so. I know I still coach in the middle school and a lot of underclassmen, and I even shared this with the girls that so many underclassmen, and I'm talking about middle school players, and my daughter's one of them, are impacted by what they say and what they do. I know a couple of the girls said, I need to get better so I can be like them. I know my daughter specifically with Rachel Hefflin, who was more of a role player. She was a senior that didn't get to play too often, but when she did, she took advantage of it. And I know I made Rachel cry at the banquet for saying this, but I'm going to say it again, is that my daughter said, Rachel doesn't always play, but she's always cheering on her teammates. She's the loudest. She's the one that will do anything for her team. And I think that just shows the unselfishness and what this team does, both on and off the court. It's not always gameplay. It's also being a good teammate.
Where does that come from? Where does Rachel Hefflin's good attitude come from?
I think that's just her. I think she's always bubbly. I think that she is, just based on what she does in volleyball, just a great friend. She's one that will always have her friends' backs, and it just shows that no matter what happens, she gets the big picture, and she's supportive of anybody that she's a teammate of.
I think her family plays a big role in that too.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's learned. I don't think somebody just says, oh, I'm just going to be a good teammate today. I think that that's just a reflection of what she was brought up and the people that she surrounds herself with.
If she goes home and her family says, darn that coach, you should be playing more, then that's going to be her attitude. But that wasn't her attitude, so it worked out great. And sounds like you had a team full of good attitudes this year.
Yeah, like I said, they were some of the most unselfish players. It was all about, if I'm not doing my job, who's going to go in there and do it for me? I mean, it's
amazing what can happen when everybody just pulls together.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, ladies, congratulations on your unbelievable season. I'm super happy for you. On a personal level, it was fun for me to go out to the games. I went out to at least 2, and then I also went to your send-off with swim and dive, and that was fun. That was nice. And I won't forget that, and I don't think your girls will either. And it's only second time going to state. That's a big deal. You laid the framework, the foundation for hopefully years to come, and congratulations, and only your second year.
Well, thank you.
All right, thanks for coming by.